these large projects are important to the county to help build our tax base, but I am one of those that feel that we should not put all our eggs into one basket. I am a proponent of small business, as a small business owner myself. We need to encourage these entrepreneurs to come to our county. That's what built this county, was small businesses. And whatever we can do to encourage them and help them along their way and keep them coming to help this economy grow, I would support that.
Ms. Dowling, would you like me to repeat the question?
I think I got it.
Okay, go.
As far as small businesses go, they are the backbone of the county. And as a county commissioner, what I would like to continue to do is support IEDC in working with businesses. And I happen to know we have an entrepreneur in the audience who's done just that this week. IEDC and I have had an interesting relationship, and in the end, they have honed their focus to just a few areas. And one of the important areas that they continue to focus on is building up small businesses. The other thing I can do as a county commissioner is to be fiscally responsible to those businesses that pay and make the tax base. I tend to question bills that come through, and I will continue to do that to keep taxes low and give those businesses the best chance that they have to thrive.
Mr. Trunt?
Yes, I think it's a question of balance. You know, we need the industry to create the good-paying jobs that we need in this county. We also need to promote the entrepreneurs and tourism in this county. I think there are some things we could do to help the Chamber of Commerce promote the Grand Rapids and Itasca County area. I think there's some things that we can do with IEDC to promote and develop industry and light industry for this community. As a commissioner, it's always important to watch taxes and watch the spending, but I think there's also some opportunities there where we could save some money and help reduce the cost of government in Itasca County, which would also be a benefit to the small industry and local taxpayers.
Ms. Burthwick?
Insofar as small business is concerned, yes, I would be very supportive. I believe that the county commissioner would act more in a support role to the development agencies that we have in the area. IEDC not being the only one. Various communities have development entities, and at any time if they wish to approach the county, I think they should have every bit of the same consideration as IEDC or any other group in Grand Rapids may have. Sometimes we lose focus on the fact that Itasca County goes beyond those boundaries, and we tend to focus on the larger city, and we kind of forget about the outlying areas. And I would like to see some of those smaller business interests from the outlying areas come to the county in the way that IEDC does.
Mr. Weber?
I am all for the small businesses, but we also have to think about the businesses that are here. It's really nice to get more into the county. We can use right now all the help we can get, any job we can get, but let's not forget our existing businesses. If we can do more to get our existing businesses to hire one or two more people, that would put a big boost as far as our economy going, people working. So not only do we have to get small businesses, we need to get our existing businesses to keep hiring more people.
Thank you. All businesses, large and small, are important to this county. We fund IEDC, and their primary job is to retain the current businesses and help out where they can, and to see new businesses, large and small. We also have tourism and recreation. I think the board is very heavy into that because recreational stuff and tourism stuff, hunting, fishing, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, biking, that brings money into this county. SR is a big company coming in here. When that is built, that's going to help against our tax increases and levy. That's going to hire 900 employees working and approximately 1,200 spin-off jobs. A new company just started up a little over a year ago, Magnetation. They built a building by Keewatin, and that's a small business. It has 60 people there. They are now building a new one by Taconite, and that'll be another 60 with potentially 5 more to come into the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dean Scherf. I'm a candidate for Itasca County Sheriff. I filed for this office for several different reasons, mainly because of my 25 years of law enforcement experience and this process being a career goal of mine to get to the point where I could run for Itasca County Sheriff. I've had the pleasure of being a deputy sheriff in Itasca County, serving the citizens for the past 22 years, serving in a lot of capacities throughout the county, starting as a patrol deputy and working my way up to an investigator supervisor that I've been carrying that position for the past 16 years. It's in that position that I've gained some very valuable knowledge in managing and having a part of the management team of the Sheriff's Office. As a supervisor investigator, I've had the pleasure of overseeing the day-to-day operations of the Sheriff's Office, giving me a wide variety of experience in dealing with all aspects of our office, from the jail to dispatch to the patrol functions, civil process, and also major investigations. That too has been a pleasure. I feel that the experience that I bring to this position certainly qualifies me to be a candidate for Itasca County Sheriff. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I'm hopeful that everyone will gain some valuable knowledge from what they learned from the candidates tonight and the questions that are being asked of us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Victor Williams, and I'd also like to thank the young professionals for inviting us tonight to this debate. The lights are really bright. We talk about, I've been a peace officer for 20 years. I've been the police chief in Deer River for 12 of the last 12 years. Leadership is one of my best qualities. I learned through different professions that leadership is the spot I usually end up in. Being the police chief, I joined the school board, was voted to a leadership position. I joined the fire department, was voted to a leadership position. And in my family, I'm expected to hold a leadership position. As I thought about progressing in my career, I've always held the idea that I would like to someday be the county sheriff. With Sheriff Maduri's retirement, this has become an opportunity for all of us in our age group to pursue this. And I think at this time what we need in Itasca County is quality leadership. I have proven time and time again that I'm willing to take on these positions, accept these burdens. I sat down with my family, my wife and I, my wife Tammy is 17 years, and my 2 children, and we talked about this. They already carry a burden as far as being a family of a police officer, and I think it's important that without their acceptance and 100% backing, that I would not pursue this. And fortunately, I have a strong family, and they are willing to take that step with me. I think it's crucial that as we go on to these trying times and we look at what the county sheriff faces, the importance of that position, and the importance that it be quality leadership that takes us into this next endeavor or era of a new sheriff, that it's important that you think about this very importantly, and I'll end it there.
Ending the good old boys network in Itasca County. The way I'm going to frame this question is that a fair and reasonable perception that such a network does exist, or is it a campaign diversion? Either way, that perception apparently exists. What can you do to change that perception? Mr. Scherf, 2 minutes.
I've heard that comment out on the campaign trail for the past 3 to 4 months. I've specifically asked people what they mean by the good old boy network, and I have yet to hear a response from anyone what they mean. I don't know what that phrase means. Being in the sheriff's office for the 22 years that I've been there, I don't feel that there's ever been a good old boy network there, nor will there be in the future if I have anything to say about it. We've taken some lumps in the past as a law enforcement agency. I can't deny that. But we dealt with them up front, we didn't hide anything, and all of those incidents that happened were investigated by an outside agency, and the person that created those problems that we had were held responsible. Whether it was in-house punishment, criminal charges, or what it might have been, we've dealt with all the issues that I know of in the 22 years that I've been there, up front, not hiding anything from anyone. My pledge in this campaign is a commitment to excellence to the people of this county, and I think that's important in our service to you, because there's no room for anything but excellence, especially by a law enforcement officer or a law enforcement agency. To me, and I've said it before in several different forums that we've been asked this very question. There is no room for the good old boy network in law enforcement, and it cannot be tolerated. I would do everything I can in my power to make sure that any incident that happens in our office, any complaint that we get, anything that happens, we will deal with up front and not hide anything from the people of this county, and I would not sweep anything under the table for any employees. They would be held accountable for their actions, and I can assure you of that.
Mr. Williams.
I think when you talk about the perception of a good old boys system, I think there's a lot of characteristics that tend to lead to this type of thought process. Number one, you look at things where sometimes we start to move into a more closed version of doing business. You have to remain transparent and impartial. One thing I do not want to do is I do not want to have people start to think that, mix up the good old boys mentality with the brotherhood of policemen. They're two different entities. The police have to have each other to lean on because nobody deals with traumatic, morbid things like the police. And sometimes because they're coffee together, because they fish together, because they happen to go to work and do things together, it's perceived as a good old boys system, and it's not there. It's important that the brotherhood of police work stays intact. But the way you go around this, or the way you get around the perception of the good old boys system, is to do the people's business in front of the people. Be open and transparent. Be impartial in how you make your decisions. Be impartial as to how you do placement of employees, advancement, and supervision areas. What you have to do is remember something. If you do things openly and with good faith, people will accept that. If they can see that it's transparent and things are handled that way, and it's done where they can see it, and you publicize it and make it known how you're going to do it, you do it equally and fairly every time, you'll remove the perception of the good old boy system. Now, how it's happened and some of the stuff that has scarred the department over this, like Mr. Scherf had mentioned, this is something that no place can avoid. If something happens that's beyond your control, you deal with it, you bring it out in the public, you punish the people involved, and you see to it that it's done openly, honestly, and fairly.
Thank you. 1 minute, Mr. Scherf.
I often ask myself when I hear those phrases such as the Brotherhood of Law Enforcement, is that the same as a good old boy network? To me, again, as I stated earlier, if you hold your expectations high of your employees, whether you're a law enforcement officer as a sheriff, chief of police, or if you're the CEO of a bank or a company, or the owner of a lumber yard, you always want your people to perform and make you look good. That's what we need to concentrate on. There is no brotherhood in law enforcement, and there is no good old boy network when you have to deal with that problem employee that's done something and that someone has complained about them. I'm proud of the fact that in 22 years that I've been employed here with the Sheriff's Office, we've had an open door policy. It's always been that way. From the day I started here in August of 1989, that door has always been open. In fact, the Sheriff's Office itself has been directly in front of the door coming in from the hallway that people can look in there every day. To me, that means something. And it may seem trivial to some people, but that open door policy has to be there. We serve you. We need to be open to you to come to us with concerns, complaints, whatever that might be.
When we talk about the relationship between the employees, supervisory staff, and the public, it's important to remember that I'm not expecting the deputies out there to make me look good. I'm expecting them to make us all look good. To do the job professionally and fairly, to do it where people know that they're being treated with honesty, that's the important part of doing police work. You can talk about brotherhoods, you can talk about good old boy systems, and it's important that a brotherhood does exist. I disagree with Dean on the fact that they do label it. That's why we're in common. It's why the guys at the steel mill go to coffee and fish on the weekend. They have common interests. They act together. They do what they need to do to survive and maintain that camaraderie at work. But it's also important to remember that as long as you're fair, open, and objective, that's all people expect from their law enforcement.